Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the installment of Scott's Selections here for Tuesday, January 12th. Before getting today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We unfortunately ended up going 0-2 as we ended up losing the play of the day with the NBA. We gave out the Pacers minus 4.5. They ended up losing outright. Pretty interesting line movement in that game. Went from 4.5 to around 5.5. And then you ended up having some buyback on Sacramento. Game closed at around Pacers minus 4. I was right about the Sacramento's defense being terrible. Indiana scored over 120 points, but unfortunately, they simply couldn't stop Sacramento, so picked up a loss there. And we also lost in the college football championship game as we ended up giving out a prop in the joint video. Scott Steen gave out Justin Fields over 290.5 passing yards at minus 113 on FanDuel. Got a good number. Closed at around 304.5, so we picked up 14 yards. Game flow was even great. Ohio State was getting killed. Fields was going to have to throw the ball the entire second half, and yet he couldn't do anything. And Ohio State tried to run the ball down 21 points. I don't really know what the game plan was there for Ryan Day, but Bama ended up killing them. And the game flow that was very positive for us ended up not really paying off at all. So either way, ended up going 0-2. We'll look to bounce back here on Tuesday. And for the play of the day, we're going back to college basketball. It's going to be on a matchup in the ACC between Miami and Boston College. That will be taking place at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And for the play of the day, we're going to be taking Miami minus 2.5 on the road, which is available on Fox Bet at plus 100. The time recording of 3:08 a.m. Eastern time. A couple reasons why I like Miami minus 2.5 here. First of all, there has been a lot of line movement on Miami already. The line has already gone from -1 all the way up to -3 in most spots. BetOnline, FanDuel, DraftKings, all is -3. I'll have -3 except for Fox Bet, which ends up having 2.5 at even money. So it's a very solid deal. I think that line will continue to climb. Breaking down both teams so far this season, Miami's 5-5. So you might think that they're just a mediocre team. And Boston College is 2-9. Boston College looks like the worst team in the entire conference up to this point. Now, Miami might be 5-5 and 1-4 in ACC play. However, that record might be a little bit misleading because Miami, 3 of their last 4 games, they lost at Virginia Tech, at home against Clemson, and at home against North Carolina. Now, to break down all 3 of those teams, North Carolina is 7-4, not that great. But, they're still above 500. Virginia Tech is currently 9-2, 3-1 in conference play. And Clemson is currently 9-1, 3-1 in conference play. So Virginia Tech and Clemson should go dancing. The reason why I bring that up is because of the fact that Miami lost all 3 of those games by a combined 5 points. They've been right there with some of these teams that are towards the top end of the ACC. And I think for that reason, Miami, despite being 1-4 in conference play because of some late game miscues, is definitely better than what the record indicates. And especially after losing all 3 of those games, Miami ended up bouncing back and beating North Carolina State, which is 6-3 on the road by 5 points. Impressive win there. So I do like the current form Miami's in. They've been very competitive lately. I think the spread is a little bit too low against the worst team in the entire conference. But switching gears, talking about Boston College, they have lost each of their last 4 games. And Boston College lost to NC State by 3 on the road. Team that Miami just beat on the road by 5. Lost to Louisville by 12. Lost to Duke by 1. And lost to Virginia by 12. The last 2, not really their faults. I know that Duke has been a little bit underwhelming so far this season. But Boston College hung tough. They ended up losing. But Boston College has just looked like a completely lost cause this season. And Miami seems to be playing some better basketball as conference play is underway. And I do think this number is a bit too low. But breaking down the stats on both teams, Miami is Miami's allowing roughly 15 fewer points per game. They're giving up 64.5 points per game. Boston College is giving up around 80. So Miami has much better defense, and I do think that will pay dividends here as Boston College should struggle to get stops while its offense is only averaging 71.9 points per game. And it might be without a couple of players who have been somewhat productive, which I'll get into in a second. So Boston College's offense might be worse while its defense should continue to struggle. And Miami is also averaging roughly 5 more rebounds per game. So Miami should dominate the glass, and I do think they'll be able to create enough second chance points to extend this lead by creating some extra second chance points. But looking at some of the injuries to talk about that I just alluded to, Boston College might have 2 guys out for this game. Ashton Langford is averaging 9.2 points per game. And you also have Mitchell, who's averaging 7.5 points per game, as well as a team-high 6.6 rebounds per game. And they both missed the last game, and they are questionable for this one. So Boston College, who is already 2-9, might be missing a player averaging over 9 points per game and is leading rebounder, and they're against a team that's averaging 5 more rebounds per game. It could turn into one-way traffic on the boards, and I do think that Miami should be able to take advantage of that en route to a nice win, probably about 5 or 6 points. Now, this game will be close throughout, in my opinion. However, I do think that Miami, since they have been in so many close games and since Boston College has just been very underwhelming, I think Miami will be able to do enough to pull ahead late and to cover this number, especially since this line should continue to climb probably around 3.5 or 4. So the play of the day, once again, here for Tuesday, January 12th, is going to be on Miami minus the 2.5, which is available on Fox Bet at plus 100. That's been Installment Scott Selections. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.